been a brutal year for the biggest names in Malaysian retail. Paksun opened China's first foreign department store in 1994, the first Malaysian brand China ever let in. This year, it paid a penalty just to walk away from that store. The share price has fallen from over 7 ringgit in 2008 to around 25 cents today, a 97% wipeout. But ini, the brand most of us have worn since school lost 36% of its profit in a single quarter. Bonia, 50 years of homegrown leather, lost 54%. Starbucks Malaysia has now posted 8 straight quarters of losses, collapsing from a peak of over 400 stores to around 320. Every one of them blamed the same thing: the weak sentiment, the cautious consumer, and the economy. That story has one problem. In the same months, all of this unfolded. Another Malaysian retailer opened its 3,000th store, and a man who sells instant noodles 4 packets for 10 ringgit became one of the richest people in the country. Same economy, same shopper, opposite directions. So the economy cannot be the answer. Something else moved. Malaysia did not stop spending in 2025. Retail grew 2.4%. They spent more than the year before, and they moved that money fast out of one set of brands and into another. This video answers 3 questions. Who caught the money? Why a foreign giant that ruled its category for 20 years lost 2-1 to a brand that did not exist 7 years ago? And why the same force steering through this job is now reshaping Malaysia's car market with a twist that nobody saw coming. If you have ever sold anything to a Malaysian customer, this shift changes how you do it. Everybody reaches for the easy explanation first. Cost rose, the service tax widened in July 2025, electricity went up, so people pull back. All true, and all beside the point, because pulling back does not explain where the money went, and it went somewhere very specific. They did not stop spending, they switched. That is the whole story. Start with 99 Speed Mart. In the first quarter of 2026, it grew profit 30% to a record 189 million ringgit, pushed revenue past 3 billion ringgit in 3 months, and crossed 3,000 stores with no sign of slowing. Lee Tiam-Wah built it. Polio took the use of his legs as a child, and he started out selling snacks from a roadside stall. This April, Forbes ranked him the 6th richest person in Malaysia at $6.7 billion, a fortune that almost doubled in a year. He did not build it on luxury. He built it on an average basket of 21 ringgit and 70 cents, rung up millions of times a day. Mr. DIY tells the same story. A record quarter, its highest profit ever. And a 2026 campaign it named Harga Tetap Sama. The price stays the same. In a year when everything else climbed, that promise was the entire pitch. Echo Shop, where almost everything costs 2 ringgit 60, grew its stores count by more than a fifth in a single year. Every witness sells the same thing. And it is not status, it is the promise that your ringgit goes further here. Why that promise suddenly beat everything else comes down to more than money. 3 forces hit Malaysia at once. The first one was the cost of living, the squeeze we just traced. The second, money alone cannot explain. After October 2023, a boycott spread across Malaysia against brands seen as tied to the conflict in Gaza. And the numbers turned specific fast. Starbucks Malaysia's revenue fell 38% in the quarter ending December 2023. The company named the boycott itself in its own filling. The third force was the quiet one. The brands people switched to were already cheaper, already local, and already halal without saying a word about it. A local brand here never has to prove where it belongs. A foreign one always does. Stack those 3 and you do not get a recession. You get a migration, and a migration always has a destination. Foreign companies have made the same mistake across Southeast Asia for years. They rate the customer they wish they had instead of the one in front of them. They watch sales dip, they call it soft sentiment, and they waited for it to pass. It never passed because it was never sentiment. The customer had already decided. And the sharpest proof is not in retail at all. It is in the car market. And it is the part that should worry any foreign brand here. We will get to it. These companies could see it coming. The data sat in front of them the whole time. Padini's own analysts flagged same-store sales falling around 6% year-on-year. That number did not surface in some annual report, it lived in their own till receipts quarter after quarter. The clearest signal came from when nobody was looking. The landlords. All through 2025, Starbucks Malaysia blamed store closures on landlords demanding higher rent. Follow that logic, in the same malls at the same time, those landlords pushed Starbucks out and pulled Mr. DIY 99 Speed Mart in. The people who owned the building could see which way the customer was walking. The coffee brand inside could not. Then, in October 2025, Starbucks Malaysia ran a Visit Malaysia 2026 campaign with Tourism Malaysia. Malaysians online judged it 54% negative. The brand walked straight into the feeling that was already seeking it. That is the real failure. Not weak demand, but a weak read of their own customer. A sales report tells you what happened. It never tells you why. And by the time the why become obvious, it has stopped being a marketing problem and become a locked door. One brand read it right. In November 2019, Ian Chua and Fallon Tian opened a 200 square foot kiosk in Binjai 8 near the center of Kuala Lumpur. Neither came from coffee, they came from tech. So they did what a coffee company never would. They built the app before they built the store, sold good coffee at a low price and let you order on your phone and skip the queue. Coffee became a daily necessity instead of a weekend trade. For a while, nobody important noticed. Then, the numbers grew impossible to ignore. By October 2025, that single kiosk had become more than 1,000 stores across the region, around 743 in Malaysia alone. Set that against the giant. Starbucks Malaysia, the brand that defined coffee here for 2 decades, sits at around 320. A 7-year-old local brand now runs more than double the store of the global name that taught Malaysians what a cafe was. One spent 2025 asking customers to come back, the other opened 2 or 3 new stores a week. Which brings us back to the car market. 5 years ago, nobody in Malaysia took the Chinese car maker BYD seriously, a brand with no prestige and no history here. By early 2026, the electric vehicle segment had grown 248% in a single month, led by Chinese brands. It grew serious enough that the government stepped in and set a minimum price on locally built BYDs, purely to protect Proton and Perodua. Cars, coffee, convenience store, the pattern repeats. The moment the local options or the cheaper options get good enough, loyalty to the foreign badge disappears. So, here is where Malaysian retail really stands in 2026. Malaysians never spend less, they spend more. The whole story is where the money went. And who saw it move in time to act? Padini, Bonia, Starbucks, each one held the same warning inside its own numbers. Each one read it too late and read it wrong. So I broke down how the winners saw it shift before the losers did. The singles 99 Speed Mart, Mr. DIY and ZUS egg on, the ones the others walk straight past, and how any retail brand can catch the same move in its own data before it becomes a closed store. It is a free playbook. The link sits in the descriptions and pinned in the comment. No email wall, nothing to sign up for. Because if you want marketing or strategy for a retail brand in this region, you learn this lesson one of 2 ways. You read your customer in your own dashboard while you still can, or you read about yourself in the business pages after you cannot. Same country, opposite directions. The difference was never the economy. It was who saw the customer leaving while there was still time to win her back.